Hey everyone, Andrikats here and welcome back to my channel. Gearing in Leisure Remix has been a blast. It's fun, it's fast, and today I'm breaking down all the ways you can get gear and power up, no matter what kind of player you are. Whether you prefer solo content, dungeons, raids, or just casual grinding, I've got you covered. I know that you like them, so I'll be giving you a full daily to-do list at the end of this video, but don't skip ahead. You'll miss all the juicy tips I've carefully packed throughout this video to help you get the absolute most out of Leisure Remix. Your goal when it comes to gear is to reach item level 740. This is the highest available in Leisure Remix, and yes, it's absolutely doable to get there even now, in this very first phase. It's just something that's gonna take more time, mainly because we're working with only 2 raids. But as Leisure Remix unfolds, things get easier. With new raids and outdoor content rolling in, you'll have even more chances to grab epic loot and stack up that infinite power even more. Some updates have also recently hit Mythic Plus, and they've had a pretty big impact on gearing. We'll get into those later in this video, but first let's start with the basics. You have just hit level 80, now what? I'm pretty sure throughout your leveling adventures you have already come across the caches of infinite treasures. They drop from pretty much every quest, wall quest, bonus objective, making them super easy to farm. And they also come in 3 qualities: uncommon, rare, and epic. The gear from these caches is solid when you first hit 80, but it caps out at item level 584, so it won't last long. However, once you reach 80, these caches can also start dropping modes of broken time. Combining 10 of those creates a random raid gear, which is usually an upgrade. The only reason that makes this noteworthy is the scaling system in place. Any gear coming from these modes scales with your average eye level, so most of the time you'll end up with a higher piece. Alright, sometimes you might get a duplicate item, and yeah, that's a bit of a bummer, but since these caches are super easy to farm, it's really not a huge deal. Just keep collecting and combining modes until you land something useful. And hey, if raids and Mythic Plus aren't your thing and you prefer stacking to outdoor content, that's fine. This is a steady way to gear up. It's chill, it's consistent, and it still gets you closer to that 740 goal. Completing all of the campaign and side quests across the zones will reward you with plenty of these caches, which translates to more modes and more chances at raid level gear. Plus, you'll want to go through each zone's storyline anyway, because it grants infinite knowledge, a super important currency that I'll explain later in this very video. If you are more into solo content, definitely check out Wither Training. You can get a solid amount of modes for the time you put in. I usually walk away with 5 to 6 modes in just a couple of minutes. Mostly because my Wither army gets wrecked instantly. Yeah, well, I cannot really do much about it. I barely make it to the second room and I still get rewarded. Not really sure if pushing further gives more modes, but honestly, I just grab what I can and just bounce. So if you've got some spare ancient mana, toss it into a run. It's quick, efficient, and yep, it's another daily activity. One of the most fun things you can do in Remix is that once you get better gear, you'll start soloing content. We'll get to Mythic Plus later, but one of the easiest things to farm is normal dungeons. Just blast your way through, collect a bunch of these modes, reset, and repeat. When I actually tried this, I was around 670 eye level and had no problem clearing the whole thing, even though my class isn't exactly known for soloing stuff like this. If you are a tank, melee, or really anything with burst damage, you'll have it way easier. I was averaging about 5 modes per run, and each run only took a few minutes, so totally grindable. Doing everything I have covered so far will create a stash of modes, and here's how I usually handle them. I use 10 to get a piece of gear, put it on right away, and then move on to the next. I'm not entirely sure if this directly affects the chance of getting higher gear, but increasing your average eye level definitely seems to help. So yeah, keep that in mind as it will improve your upgrades as you go. The bottom line here is that farming mods from outdoors is a good starting point to get a bit of a higher gear and without the need to step into raids. Now, if you are open to giving raids a try, the rewards are much greater and I highly recommend doing so even if you are not a regular raider. Every raid difficulty resets here daily, meaning that you can run them quite often, and that's something you want to prioritize every time that you log into Remix. I honestly wouldn't recommend running LFR wings as they take longer and the rewards aren't worth the effort. Instead, join groups for normal, heroic, or even mythic raids. You can easily get into groups once you are around 590 or even better higher, and at that point normal and heroic runs are quite easy to clear. If you play a hybrid spec like a healer or a tank, it's even easier to get invited. On the flip side, mythic raids are a bit tougher, so I will suggest waiting until you are past 600. Naturally, as your item level increases, you'll start finding stronger groups and clear the raids in no time. Now, why are raids important? Well, for one, each boss drops a good amount of motes of broken time. You get 4 motes from each mythic boss, 3 from heroic, and then 2 from normal. On top of that, each boss has a chance to drop additional gear, and you'll also earn Fragmented Mementos of Epoch challenges, which are very essential for boosting your infinite power. All that thought though, we'll talk more about it in a bit. But the main takeaway here is simple: if you want to gear up fast, raid every single day. While you're blasting through the raid, I highly recommend using your motes as you go. Why? Because upgrading your gear mid-run increases your eye level, which can then lead to higher gear drops from the next bosses. I'm pretty sure you already know this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. It's actually recommended to clear raids in reverse order. In other words, start with Mythic, which has the most upgrades, move on to Heroic, and finish with Normal. This way you can maximize your chances for better drops. If you can find a group doing all the raids and difficulties, that's even better. It saves time since you won't have to keep searching for new groups every single time. With all of that said, if you are still afraid to step into raids, well, don't be. Raids in Remix are nothing like regular WoW. They're much faster and easier to blast through. I even stepped out of my comfort zone and cleared all 3 difficulties of Emerald Nightmare and Trial of Valor. And yes, it was totally doable. I also did the Mythic Trial of Valor without dying, so GG me, got myself this ensemble. So yeah, once I passed the 590, I started doing raids every single day. Plus, let's be honest, there's always at least one OP player in the group doing insane damage, completely melting bosses. So don't you worry, you'll get carried. Each difficulty took me around 10 to 15 minutes to clear, which is about the same or even less than running a full LFR wing. So that's why I say, skip the LFR and go straight to normal or higher. If you are looking to gear up efficiently, and especially if you are short on time, make daily raids your top priority. Alrighty, we have covered raids and caches of infinite treasure. Now let's focus on a much better box, the cache of infinite power. This always contains nice goodies and, most importantly, a raid gear that again scales to your current item level. This cache cannot be farmed endlessly, but you can earn it by taking part in easy daily activities. One such example is completing infinite research assignments from Eternus. These are daily meta quests that can be done when you are out in the world, inside dungeons, raids, etc, etc. I believe you can get 3 new quests each day, but as you progress, you'll unlock achievements that increase your overall capacity. For example, I can now pile 6 days worth of tasks and do them all at once. That's especially good considering that some people cannot play 7 days a week. Try to pick up assignments that match what you'll already be doing that day, whether it's raiding, questing, or running dungeons, so you can complete them naturally without going out of your way. You can also pick your preferred activity type, outdoor, raid, dungeon, questing, but it seems you can only set these once, so choose carefully, I guess. Something that many people don't know, if you finish all of your tasks, you'll also get the option to re-roll a new list of assignments if you don't see anything easy or, well, convenient to complete. So yes, keep that in mind. Doing this infinite research is not the only way these caches of infinite power come from. You can also receive them from your first random normal and heroic dungeon runs of the day, so make sure to do those daily for some extra easy gear. Furthermore, completing emissary quests also rewards one of these, which usually require completing 3 or 4 wall quests in any Broken Isle zone. You can even choose to do them in the heroic wall tier to progress your purple Sargerai set at the same time. There is one big issue with these emissaries though. Blizzard seems to have forgotten to mark where you're supposed to turn them in, so that part's a bit confusing. I guess only veterans will know. In addition, I think the wall boss was supposed to give one of these infinite boxes. The wall quest claims that it does, but I think that's actually a visual bug. It currently gives a heroic cache of treasures instead. Yeah, those boxes we've talked about in the start of this video that you can actually farm modes. Either way, make sure to kill it every day so you can get this achievement and earn infinite knowledge, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Before we get there though, I'm pretty sure that you have noticed so far that jewelry pieces in Legion Remix are quite powerful, as they can unlock more traits from branches of the artifact tree that you didn't take. For example, you can unlock the ability to cast while moving, and that comes handy when you're running after the tank. Also, this will be good to have for healers, as you don't have to stop casting while still doing mechanics for higher endgame content. As we've established, all the gear sources will pretty much grant random gear all the time, and that means, unfortunately, that it might take a while before we get decent upgrade on jewelry piece. Did you know though that you can get a freebie just by completing the daily here in the Infinite Bazaar? And to stay on par with everything else, this scales on your gear, so that's always going to be an upgrade. RNG be with you, of course. To min-max, pick up the quest at the end of the day so you get the highest possible upgrade. Okay, the final way to gear in Legion Remix is through Mythic Plus. Now, is it worth it? I believe yes. It seems the Mythic Plus rewards underwent some big changes in the last few days. Previously, the gear that will drop from a key will be fixed and tied to the key level, but now you get mods instead. And not just a few, clearing a +5 Court of Stars gave me 10 mods, which is equal to 1 gear piece. It only took about 10 minutes, so super fast. In addition, Mythic Plus has the huge advantage of being farmable. You can keep running keys and farming modes for as long as you want. If you are able to clear lower keys quickly and consistently, it's actually one of the most efficient ways to gear up. Higher keys naturally give more modes, so it really comes down to how fast you can clear them. And don't forget, we are only getting stronger in Remix, so soloing keys will be on the table soon enough. I'm pretty sure tanks are already there, and it seems there is finally some light at the end of the tunnel for the more neglected specs too. Blizzard is very aware of the tank meta, and it looks like they'll be buffing DPS and healers to help balance things out. But regardless of what class you play, infinite power is your ticket to getting stronger, and that's where Fragmented Mementos come in. Yes, it's time to talk about these bad boys and infinite knowledge. Most of the activities in Remix will reward you with mementos, but the best source by far is raids. I don't know if you heard the news, but outdoor elite farming has been nerfed to the ground. So if you are farming infinite power, raids are hands down the fastest and most efficient daily grind you can do. You can easily walk away with more than 150 mementos from a Mythic Emerald Nightmare full run, and like I said, the whole thing takes about 10 minutes. Raiding will become even faster once more gear players join the group, so the grind only gets smoother from here, and let's not forget that it might be soloable one day too. Trial of Valor is even quicker, around 5 to 6 minutes if everyone's past 620. And can you believe it? One of those minutes is just RP. Honestly, at this point, I wish Odin was missing a mouth instead of an eye. Will save us all some time, right? It obviously goes without saying that you get less mementos from it, since it only has 3 bosses, but at the same time, it takes half the time. Once you accumulate 100 of these mementos, you can combine them to get a huge boost of infinite power. This in return lets you unlock more points in the artifact trade tree, and specifically you want to invest points into the final trade, the limits Unbound. This gives you 1% to your main stat, stamina and versatility. And that's the secret to keep on getting more powerful even after hitting the highest item level available, which is 740. So yes, while gear might cap at 740, your strength doesn't. This infinite trade goes all the way up to 999 points, so I know, not so infinite. That said, the grind is real, but the payoff is even more huge. I cannot stress this enough, but if you're aiming to min-max, make sure to farm infinite knowledge as early as possible. This will increase the amount of infinite power you gain from all sources across your entire warband. And doing this early makes progression much easier, not just for your main, but for any alts you decide to level later. So yeah, don't be like Malfurion over here, as in, don't sleep on it. You earn knowledge by completing specific achievements and it goes up to 36 points. Some of these achievements are locked behind remix phases, but the good news is that over 2/3 are available right now. If you are trying to figure out which achievements you are still missing, well, don't bother digging through the in-game tab. It's clunky, slow, and honestly, not very intuitive. You're better off checking out this amazing site called completionism.com. Just head over there, click the cloud icon, and enter your time runner's name and server. Make sure the region is correct too. Then navigate to the Legion Remix section. On the left side, under the Focus category, you'll find the Infinite Knowledge tab. That's where you'll see exactly which achievements you still need. Right now we're in the first phase of Remix, so I haven't checked all the other phases on the site. With what's currently available, you can earn up to 27 points, and trust me, that's gonna be a huge boost. So yeah, give this site a visit, it makes it really easy to track your progress and focus on the achievements that matter most. You should be able to grab more than 20 points without really too much trouble. Also, you should probably be around 15 points before you start combining the mementos. That way you'll get more value out of them when converting to infinite power. That said, don't hoard too much because you'll also need infinite power to unlock more infinite knowledge points. Now you might be wondering, okay Andre, what about my artifact? How do I upgrade that? All the gearing methods I have mentioned throughout this video also drop Artifactium Sand and occasionally a mound of Artifactium Sand. That mound seems to drop if your weapon is way behind your average item level. Both of these will boost your artifact's item level all the way up to 740. And as a side note here, on the PTR I actually managed to push mine to 747, but that might have been a bug, so take it with a grain of salt. Or rather, sand. You can also get sand by scrapping gear, so always scrap your lowest pieces. I've also been using this awesome add-on, the Legion Remix Helper, and honestly, it's been a total game changer. It auto-selects gear for scrapping, so you're not stuck manually dragging every item to that window. This way, you get to actually spend more time playing the game. I've also set it to scrap gear that's at least 10 item levels lower than what I'm currently wearing. Why? Because it seems like the game might factor in what's in your inventory when calculating upgrades, so holding on to those higher pieces just a bit longer could actually boost your chances of getting better drops. Alright, with everything explained, let's tie it all together into an easy to follow daily routine. Start your day by visiting Eternus and picking up all 3 infinite research quests. Prioritize assignments that align with what you are already planning to do, whether that's raid, dungeons or world quests, so you are doubling up on progress without wasting time. Next, queue up for 1 random normal and 1 heroic dungeon. This will reward you with 2 extra caches of infinite power and are very easy to blast through. Don't forget to complete the daily emissary quest as well, because that's gonna give you another cache. If you've been keeping up with Eternus assignments, that's already 6 boxes of infinite power per day, so 6 pieces of gear. If you got some spare ancient mana, mix in a quick wither training session. Even if your wither army doesn't make it far, you'll still walk away with a few modes in just a couple of minutes. It's fast, easy, and worth doing daily. If that's not enough, it also counts as a free world quest. Then you can move on to your daily raids. Depending on how much available time you have each day, try and clear each raid with this order: Mythic, Heroic, and then Normal. At the time of recording, only 2 raids are available, but as Remix unfolds, more will unlock, giving you even more chances to grab higher gear and stack up that infinite power. If you are min-maxing, it's worth doing all difficulties and yes, all raids. Not just for gear, but for the extra fragmented mementos that you get along. Especially if you have already hit 740 and you have no more gear to farm, lucky you, well, you'll still have infinite power to grind. While you are also doing all of this, especially the outdoor activities, you'll passively get caches of infinite treasure. which means more motes and yes, even more raid gear. Speaking of motes, if you've got extra time, run some Mythic Plus keys for bonus motes. Or if you prefer easier solo farming, run some normal dungeons, reset and repeat. I also recommend going for dungeons without much RP and fast, like Mauve Souls. If you really want to hit that high eye level and power very fast, these two methods are totally grindable. That said, I don't actually recommend doing that for like really long sessions. You'll eventually burn out. I'm in no particular rush to hit 740. I know I'll get there eventually just by sticking to the daily farms, which honestly feel more time efficient anyway. Of course, if you do want to hit 740 in a single day, by all means, go for it. Before logging out, make sure to visit Linda at the Infinite Bazaar and grab your free jewelry piece. Once you hit 740, it's easy to forget about Linda. But you know what? You know how Blizzard is. What if one day they decide to tweak artifact traits for, let's call it, balance? Well, you'll want extra jewelry pieces on hand to swap things around. And that's it! With all of these methods, we'll carry ourselves to 740, get lots of infinite power, and everyone should be able to have it easier soloing content. I'm curious though, what's your current item level and how many points you are into the limits Unbound? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, that's it for now. Hopefully this video helped shed some light on the whole gearing process and made things a bit clearer for you. As always, thank you so much for sticking around until the very end. I know it was a long one, but I really wanted to cover everything. Drop a like if you have found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more WoW coverage, and hit the bell to stay up to date. Good luck with whatever you're doing, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!